American alligator. The scariest thing about an alligator isn't its jaws. It's that you know full well it's in there, and you keep walking toward the water anyway. The American alligator has kept roughly the same body plan for millions of years. It made it through the asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs. It outlived every giant predator that once shared its wetlands. It rode out the last ice age below the surface and simply waited for warmer times. Now it lives in golf course ponds, suburban drainage ditches, and backyard pools across the American Southeast, an ancient apex predator that didn't so much adapt to human sprawl as ignore it completely. When it bites, there's no chewing involved. It clamps down, rolls its whole body and twists, separating bone and joint through sheer mechanical force, a technique that hasn't needed updating in tens of millions of years because it already worked. The water goes quiet. All you hear is the pressure of it. Here's what rarely gets mentioned. Statistically, the alligator ranks among the least likely wild animals in North America to actually kill you. It typically keeps its distance from people unless someone starts feeding it. Do that once, and you stop being background noise to it. You become something else entirely, a label that doesn't get erased. It made it through a mass extinction, drifting continents and 5 ice ages. What actually gets it killed, again and again, is a retired guy in cargo shorts holding out a hot dog. Odds of walking away, 87%. That drops to 11% the second it learns your name. But if the alligator is a name you already knew, what's coming next makes everything so far look like practice. Saltwater crocodile. The saltwater crocodile is the biggest reptile alive, and it treats the open ocean as just another neighborhood to move into. Ranging across Southeast Asia, northern Australia, and the Indo-Pacific, Crocodilis porosus has been tracked hundreds of kilometers from shore, island hopping through open water with the ease of a creature that has never had to worry about anything eating it. It can exceed 6 meters in length. Its bite registers around 3,700 pounds per square inch, the strongest bite force ever recorded in a living animal, held in a locked, directional grip while it drags its target under. But the bite isn't actually the scary part. The weight is. Saltwater crocodiles can slow their heartbeat nearly to a stop and hold perfectly still for hours at a time. Above them, the water gives away nothing. Flat, murky, warm, undisturbed. You could be at the water's edge, rinsing your hands or filling a container, doing something completely mundane, while it's been tracking you since before you arrived. Most documented attacks happen during ordinary shoreline routines, not reckless behavior. Nobody provoked the crocodile. It was simply already positioned and waiting. Communities across northern Australia and coastal Papua New Guinea don't stop using the water. They just change how they move near it. Knowing something could be watching reshapes every small moment spent close to shore. The air feels tighter. The water reads as deeper than it is. Odds of walking away, 14%, and only if it hadn't already clocked you on your way down to the bank. But while the saltwater crocodile rules the Indo-Pacific, another one rules something even older, a river that helped build civilization and has been quietly taking its cut ever since. Nile crocodile. Ancient Egyptians modeled a god after it, and the Nile crocodile treated that as simple fact rather than flattery. Crocodilus niloticus has lived along the Nile and across sub-Saharan Africa for thousands of years. In ancient Egyptian belief, the crocodile-headed god Sobek, ruler of the river, morally neutral, captured the Nile's core contradiction. The same water that grew the crops could pull you under in 4 seconds. Temples house live crocodiles as sacred creatures, dressed in gold and linen by priests. The crocodiles took the reverence in stride, ate when hungry, and drew no theological lines of their own. Today, the Nile crocodile causes more confirmed human deaths than any other crocodilian. Hundreds of fatalities a year across sub-Saharan Africa by documented estimates, though the real number shifts depending on region and how well incidents get reported. It strikes at the exact instant of maximum exposure, the moment a limb reaches over the water's edge, and the strike itself is nearly silent right up until contact. But here's what the old myths were really pointing at. Nile crocodiles have been observed hunting cooperatively. Several animals position themselves around prey in coordinated formation to herd fish or control a shared carcass. Spatial planning and group strategy from an animal with a brain roughly the size of a walnut. Every civilization that settled along the Nile built its life around the crocodile, not by defeating it, but by accepting that the river's gifts came with a price, and that the price had teeth. Sobek stood for fertility, water, and military strength. The crocodile never needed a myth to earn any of that. It was already living it. Odds of walking away, 22%, higher if you stay out of water, lower if you've ever called a Nile calm. Gharial. The gharial looks built to terrify, then somehow got reassigned to a gentler job. Native to rivers of the Indian subcontinent, mainly the Chumbel and Gandak, Gavialis gangeticus split off from other crocodilians tens of millions of years ago. For meters of ancient cold-blooded lineage, its jaw lined with over 100 interlocking teeth, resting in the shallows of rivers considered sacred, and its diet is fish. Nothing else. That long, narrow snout, refined over eons for snatching fish, simply can't open wide enough to pose a threat to a person. It also struggles to move efficiently on land and can't perform the twisting death roll other crocodilians use. In the water it glides like smoke. On the bank it barely stirs, pale, huge, and utterly harmless in the sun. Within Hindu tradition, the Ganges and its tributaries are considered sacred ground, and both the gharial and the Gangetic River dolphin are treated there as protected, even revered, rather than feared. Here's the twist. The gharial is critically endangered, with fewer than 1,000 mature adults left in the wild by current conservation estimates. And it didn't get there because people feared it. Its rivers were dammed, drained, and stripped for sand. The gentlest crocodilian alive is vanishing not from being hunted, but from being overlooked entirely. It survived tens of millions of years of evolutionary pressure and mass extinctions, but couldn't survive irrigation projects. There's a particular sting in something that outlasted the dinosaurs, losing out to farmland engineering. It never needed anyone's fear. Apparently, it just needed to be noticed. But while the gharial pulled back from human civilization, the next one on this list moved right in and started checking the plumbing. Mugger crocodile. The mugger crocodile turns up in wells, temple ponds, irrigation canals, and flooded city streets, and none of it seems to faze it. Crocodilis palustris, the marsh crocodile of the Indian subcontinent, Iran, and Sri Lanka, takes its name from the Hindi word magar, meaning water monster, though opportunistic urban resident would fit just as well. It's a generalist in the truest sense. Fish, birds, mammals, carrion, all fair game. It digs burrows to wait out droughts, travels overland between water sources, and has been recorded moving into villages during monsoon floods, then simply staying once the water drained away. It treats every bit of human expansion as potential new territory, either impressive adaptability or a total disregard for property lines, depending how you look at it. But here's the part that rarely comes up. At several sites in India and Pakistan, including the well-documented Mugger Pier Shrine, mugger crocodiles and local communities have shared the same space for generations in a kind of negotiated truce. Pilgrims come close, priests feed them, and the crocodiles accept it all with the calm of something that understood the deal before anyone spelled it out. The crocodile never changed. The people simply learned not to flinch, which reads either as spiritual harmony or as a very gradual collective risk calculation. Odds of walking away, 61%. Much lower if you mistake the temple pond for a garden feature. The mugger adjusted to people by getting comfortable around them. What's next adjusted by getting smarter than it has any right to be